Before there was time, before there was light, before your first breath or your deepest fear, there was only God. And in a single word, spoken into absolute silence, everything you have ever known began. This is not a fairy tale.
This is the opening chapter of the greatest story ever told. The story of how paradise was given, how it was lost, and why hope was never truly gone. Stay with us until the end. What happens in the final minutes will change how you see your own choices forever. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered the deep. Then the Spirit of God moved over the waters, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Day by day, order rose from chaos. Sky separated from sea. Dry land appeared. Grass, trees, and seed-bearing plants covered the earth. Sun, moon, and stars were set in the heavens to mark seasons and days. Then the waters teemed with living creatures. Birds filled the sky. And God made every wild animal, every creature that moves along the ground, each according to its kind. Then God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so they may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." God formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. The man became a living being. God planted a garden in Eden, a place of beauty beyond imagination, and there he put the man he had formed. But the man was alone. And God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. He took one of the man's ribs and closed up the place with flesh. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to him. The man said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man." They were naked and felt no shame. They walked with God in the cool of the day. And on the seventh day, God rested from all his work. He blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the creating he had done. Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" The woman answered, "We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say, 'You must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die.'" "You will not certainly die," the serpent said, "for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." When the woman saw that the fruit was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they realized they were naked. They sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. Then the man and his wife heard the sound of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and they hid from the Lord God among the trees. But the Lord God called to the man, "Where are you?" He answered, "I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." God asked what they had done. The man blamed the woman. The woman blamed the serpent. And God spoke judgment to the serpent, to the woman, to the man. Pain, toil, and enmity entered the world. But even in the curse, God made a promise. From the woman's offspring, one would come who would crush the serpent's head. Then the Lord God made garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothed them. And the Lord God said, "The man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever." So the Lord God banished them from the Garden of Eden to work the ground from which the man had been taken. He placed cherubim and a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life. Paradise was closed. But the story was not over. The fall was not the end of God's love. It was the beginning of a long rescue. Adam and Eve chose doubt over trust, appetite over obedience, hiding over honesty. And every human since has faced the same fork in the road. But notice what God did even in judgment. He covered their shame. He promised a redeemer. He did not erase them. He set them on a path toward redemption. You are not defined by your worst day in the garden of your own choices. The God who breathed life into dust still calls your name in the cool of the evening. Where are you? The answer is not perfection. The answer is honesty. Turning toward Him instead of hiding among the trees. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe for the next chapter in our journey from Genesis to Revelation. Next, the flood, when the world God made was drowning in violence, and one man's faith became an ark for humanity. Episode 3 drops soon. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next story.